Hey guys, Andre here, and today I'll bring you the new Mac Mini M2 Pro. In this video I'm going to run a couple of sessions on this machine, and then I'm going to compare it with my Mac Mini M1, which is the base model, well, almost the base model. It has 8 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. Now this one is the base model with a 10-core CPU, 16-core GPU, and 512 gigs of storage. And the differences between the computer itself, between this one and the M1, it's a bit heavier, nothing special, but it is a bit heavier, and it has more 2 Thunderbolt ports. Other than that, well, it gets a little bit warm in comparison to the Mac Mini M1, because the M1 is always really cold, and this one, it gets a bit warm. Not crazy hot, but it gets a little bit warm. And now let's go to the DAW and let's see how it goes. Okay guys, so I'm running 2 mixing sessions at the same time. One is in Cubase, which is running in Rosetta mode, and the other one is in Logic, which is running in native mode. Now the Cubase session is more heavy on the computer, and the kind of plugins that I'm using here is AMAC EQ. It has close to 20 instances of SSL EV2, which is kind of heavy on CPU. A couple of reverbs, delay, a lot of FabFilter plugins, and Slate Digital, a lot of them too. And as I will be showing you on the Mac Mini M1 that I have here with 8 gigs of RAM, in this project alone, in Cubase, as soon as I pull up this AMAC EQ, the images will start dragging a little bit. And on this one, as you can see, it's not even sweating. This Cubase session has close to 80 tracks, and the Logic one has close to 60 tracks. And so let me show you the data. And so as you can see, this computer is handling with both sessions running at the same time, like if it was butter. The CPU, the memory. But just so you can compare, let me show you the data in the Mac Mini M1. Okay, so here's the Mac Mini M1 with 8 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of disk space, and it's running the same exact sessions, both in Logic and Cubase at the same time. Now, there's a big difference here that I forgot to mention on the Mac Mini M2 Pro, which is the buffer size. So on this machine, the Mac Mini M1 with 8 gigs of RAM, I'm running both sessions at a buffer size of 1024, while on the M2 Pro I was running both sessions at 256 samples. And so as you can see, the plugins are exactly the same because it's exactly the same session. And as I mentioned, as soon as I pull up this AMAC EQ, the image starts kind of lagging. It's still working. Well, there's some audio dropouts sometimes, but it's still working. Now let me show you the data here. And as you can see, the memory is pretty much maxed out. And the CPU, as you can see, it can handle even more. So the problem here is really the memory. 8 gigs of RAM is not enough to run these 2 sessions. Okay, now I'm just running the Cubase session. And as you can see, the memory still has a lot of pressure. Although it's running really smoothly without any problem, but still, as you can see, the CPU has no problem at all. So it's really a matter of memory. You can see that there's some kind of lag here on the image sometimes. It happens just with this plugin. Otherwise, everything is running really smoothly. There's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, this is the Mac Mini M1. Okay, so my thoughts on this computer. Well, first of all, I'm never running 2 mixing sessions at the same time, and I'm guessing that most of us won't be doing it. But even if you do it, it just saw that it can handle without any problem. So this is a really powerful machine. With that said, if you can afford it, I think the M2 Pro is the perfect one for the home studio. It's, in my opinion, the best bang for the buck of all Apple computers, unless of course you're running dozens and dozens of virtual instruments at 96K sample rate. Which in that case, you should probably upgrade the specs on this one, or should consider the Mac Studio. Now, if you're running sessions similar to the ones that I've just tested, this is the one, and it's probably overkill for most of us. And so if you don't want to spend the extra cash, just get the Mac Mini M1 or the Mac Mini M2 with 16 gigs of RAM. I've been using the Mac Mini M1 with 8 gigs of RAM for the last couple of years for mixing, for recording, and even for video. All of the videos of this YouTube channel were made on that computer, which just goes to show you that it's a really powerful computer too. Now, if you're considering the Mac Mini M2, just be careful with the specs, because once you start upgrading the RAM and the storage, you will be really close to the price of the Mac Mini M2 Pro, which in that case you should probably just go with this one. And so with that said, the big difference that you're going to notice with this one is that it's really fast. Like this is really snappy, and if you're doing video, this thing is really fast. It's a really powerful machine. And that's it for this video. So if you want me to cover anything about this computer on a different video, just let me know in the comments. Until there, I see you in the next video. Take care. Cheers.